Magnum flutter spoons have become one of the things that we're most known for. And I thought it would be cool to take a look back and see how we got here. Back in 2013, I had only been running Nichols for about a year. I took over in 2012 from Dave Nichols. And in 2013, there was an article run in a Bassmaster magazine. It was kind of a short little article in the back about a seasonal pattern, and they interviewed a guy named Ben Parker, and they talked to him about flutter spoon fishing. I had, at the time, never met Ben, never spoken on the phone, really didn't know who he was, but I did know that when I took over at Nichols, we were selling our Lake Fork series of flutter spoons, which come in a 4-inch size and a 5-inch size. We weren't the only spoon game around by any means, but there still aren't a ton of companies that are making flutter spoons. We were one of them, and in my opinion, even then, we made the best one. Well, so did Ben Parker. He also thought that, because in this Bassmaster article, he mentioned that he used our 5-inch shattered glass flutter spoon. And to be honest, I'd only been in the business for a year. You realize pretty quickly, though, that advertisement in the bass industry is not free. It always costs something. And here was a guy that I had never met that decided to mention our brand name spoon in a Bassmaster magazine, a major publication. And he didn't know me from Adam. So I just called Ben to say thanks. It was one of those things that I'd never really seen our brand in a magazine, and to see that for the first time was huge for me. So I found Ben's phone number, I called him, and I just wanted to say, hey man, thanks for doing that. Anybody that knows Ben knows that he's a really stand-up guy. And to do that for me was pretty huge at the time. It kind of gave our sales a little kick in the pants on these smaller size spoons. So I called Ben to say thanks. And at the time, Ben had a stint on the Bassmaster Elite Tour and was now guiding on the Tennessee River on Kentucky Lake, doing electronics trips mainly. Ben was kind of known as a ledge guy on tour. He's an electronics whiz. So what Ben would do is he would take you out in your boat, and he still does this actually now, takes you out in your boat and teaches you how to run your sonar in your electronics. So I called Ben. I said, man, hey, I appreciate it. And Ben's like, man, Brooks, thanks for the call. I got to be honest with you, man. I really love that 5-inch spoon. I love the way that yours thumps. It's a little deeper than some other ones. When you stroke it, it's got a really great thump and resistance to it. But to be honest, man, we're catching pretty good on the 5-inch spoon. But the shad on Kentucky Lake just gets so much bigger than that. And I would really love a company to make a bigger one. Is that something you'd be interested in doing for me? And again, this guy I didn't know at all, but had thrown me a bone in the Bassmaster magazine, and so I said, sure, I'll make you a bigger spoon. How big do you want? And there was kind of a pause on the other end of the line, and Ben said, man, these gizzard shad get pretty big, man. I think I might like one about 8 inches long. And in my brain, I'm thinking, well, this is 5 inches. This spoon is. If we add, 3 inches on it, I mean, that's not crazy. It's going to be pretty big, but that's not crazy. It was fairly inexpensive to have a prototype made, so I said, sure, man. Why not? I'll try it out for you. I'll make one for you. So in comes the very first prototype of the 8-inch Magnum flutter spoon. We didn't know it was going to be called that at the time, but in comes the first prototype. It's really cool. All of our spoons are stamped here in the U.S. So this is actually a hand-cut brass prototype that somebody, my vendor, actually stamped out. They hand-cut it, and then they pounded out the contour in it to look about like that. Because I told them the whole goal with designing this Magnum spoon was, hey, I want the 5-inch spoon just proportionally enlarged 3 inches. I want it to, proportionally remain the same. We want the same contour. We want the same great action that the 5-inch has. We just want it to be bigger. So make us that. So they send me this, and I'll be honest, I laughed the first time that I got this in my hand. I just thought that it was so ridiculous. It's one thing to imagine in your head You know, a jump from 5 inches to 8 inches, but to see it in person is pretty insane. So I get this prototype in, and I'm thinking, man, what have I done? What have I gotten myself into? I've spent some money now that I'll probably never get back. I mean, you know, who is going to buy this? Who in their right mind would ever use this for bath? But anyway, you know, I already had the prototype. I had a few of them made. This was the second prototype that I ever had made, and I had several of these. They've got this shattered glass finish that we're kind of known for on it. And I got, I think, 6 of these just like this. It's also a hand-cut prototype, you know, hand-hammered to have that contour in it. And I think I got about 6 of them. So I sent the other 5 to Ben to try out. And I'm still thinking in the back of my head, man, this is stupid. It's not going to work. You know, I just can't see this happening. Well, you know, probably 6 or 7 months pass. So by now it's early 2014, and Ben is still calling me, and he's like, man, you know, we'd gotten to where we talk every now and then. We were getting to be friends, and Ben was saying, man, you know, I'm telling you, man, I'm catching him on this spoon. You know, it's not really the time of year yet for it. You know, it's kind of winter time. He had found a few schools of pre-spawn fish, but he's saying, man, it's not really the time of year, but I'm telling you, I can catch him on this thing. I'm telling you, I can catch him on this thing. I can sell him. And, you know, finally, around February of that year, of 2014, I decided to trust Ben a little bit, even though I didn't know him that well yet. And I had a handful of these made. I had a die made, which for me was all the money in the world. And I had about 500 spoons made. And again, for me, that was a pretty huge risk. I didn't really order 500s of anything at the time, much less a spoon that I thought was ridiculous. But I order it, you know, and one thing that we found with this prototype, when we were designing the spoon, what we initially wanted was the same contour of this 5-inch spoon translated into an 8-inch size. Well, when they're prototyping these handmade spoons, what they told me and Ben was, hey, look, you know, we can do that, but just so you know, it's way easier when we're adjusting this die that you're going to have made to move the die to start shallow, and we can always make it deeper. But if you go too deep to start with, you cannot make it shallow. So if you look at this spoon, you'll notice it's a little bit flatter than our 5-inch profile. And originally, we kind of thought that maybe that was not going to be a good thing. But since, again, they told us that the process involved really start shallow, work deeper, you know, we said, go ahead and send us some. Let's try them out. So the very first ones that they sent us out of the die are actually the same ones that we're using now. We initially looked at them. Ben and I looked at them, and we both said, it's too shallow. It's not gonna work right. One thing that we loved about the 5-inch, again, was when you stroke it, it really gives some good resistance and thumps on the way up, and that's what we wanted on the 8-inch. So we look at it and we think, it's too shallow. We've already got some prototypes, so you know, here you go, Ben, go fish with them. Well, it turns out that the flatter contour on such a big, wide spoon was actually a huge benefit on the fall of this spoon. While the flatter contour probably wouldn't work with this size, when you get into such a big spoon, what it started doing, we noticing, you know, the 5-inch cradles all the way down is what we call it, whereas the flatter surface of the 8-inch actually shoots. It'll cradle for a second, and then it'll dart and shoot and glide almost. It's a lot more erratic than our 5-inch spoon, and we thought, you know, I think we're onto something. So we kept it shallower. And I ordered the spoons. My first order, like I said, was about 500 spoons. I literally got those spoons in. It would have been probably in June of 2014. So on that weekend, there was an FLW professional tour event on Kentucky Lake. I got those spoons in, that first order of about 500 in on a Monday. The tour event was happening on a Thursday. And Ben took half of those spoons, 250 of them. I sent them to him up at Kentucky Lake, and he gave them out to all of his pro friends. And I'm thinking, you know, man, it would be, it would be really great if somebody caught a couple fish on this spoon, you know, and maybe we sold what I got and I can make my money back. You know, that's kind of what I'm thinking. Well, the first day of the tournament, Ben had sent me a list of all the people that he had given some spoons to. They had given him some pretty good feedback that day of practice that they had him. They didn't have him the whole practice period. They had him for some of it, and they immediately kind of start telling Ben, this is maybe my deal now this week. So the first day of the tournament comes, I see the results, and I'm thinking, man, based on this list that Ben gave me of spoons that he gave out, we're doing pretty good. Well, the tournament comes to a close on Sunday, and by the time it's all finished, about half of the top 10 anglers in that tournament had relied heavily on that first shipment of 8-inch Magnum spoons. They didn't even have a name at that time. We knew at the time that it was going to be co-branded. It was going to be a Ben Parker bait. I didn't even have the name Magnum Spoon yet. So that Sunday comes, and over the weekend on that Saturday, FLW, the guys over there treated me extremely well. Jody White, Patterson, Kyle, all those guys really did me right, and they gave us a ton of media coverage that I was not expecting. And by that Sunday that the tournament was over, I had myself here, my mom was here, my father-in-law, my dad, I had 2 friends. We were answering the phone and email like our lives depended on it. And we actually sold out of that first shipment probably within, by 3 or 4 o'clock on that Sunday afternoon that the tournament was over. And man, for the next probably 3 or 4 months, it was just game on with these spoons. Pretty quickly, we realized that we wanted to call it the Magnum Spoon. I didn't have a package for it yet. I didn't know. I had not thought far enough ahead to even decide, how do you put an 8-inch flutter spoon in a package that you can sell at a store. I had not even thought that far ahead. So I came up with a giant clamshell box. It's a little bit different than the one that we use now, but I did everything that I knew to get it as fast as I could, because before I knew it, within a week we were up in the 15,000-20,000 range as far as number of spoons sold, which was just totally blew me away. It was absolutely not what I was anticipating, and it was probably one of the best 6 months and worst 6 months of my life. I lost a lot of sleep. We worked around the clock trying to get these things in time for everybody to use them that summer, trying to have them made. We actually do all the assembly work here in our shop. I was not equipped for that. Actually, that's what allowed me to hire my first employees. So I hired 2 employees, and now we've got 4. And it really just overnight took our company. We had been around for a long time. Nichols Lures was started in 1989, so it's been around for a long time. But younger generations just really didn't know about the brand. And all of a sudden, publications, all these major publications were writing about the spoon, interviewing Ben. It was all over the internet. And it was just instant brand recognition for all these younger generations that had never heard of us. But it was a lot of hard work. There was a lot of stress. It was definitely a time when some luck and some hard work really paid off. And Ben and I since have come out with several other baits. We've come out with a 6-inch model, the Mini Magnum. We've come out with a 9-inch Super Magnum. We've done a few other jigging spoons, some swim bait heads. It's really been an incredible relationship from the beginning. Ben and I really just clicked because I think he's a hard worker and a great guy too. But anyway, I just thought that it would be really cool for you guys to know. It's that time of year again when spoons are starting to pick up, and I thought you might like to hear about how the 8-inch Magnum flutter spoon all started. I'm Brooks Woodward, and this has been the Nichols Lures Shop Drop. I'll see you next week.